You opened your eyes this morning, and the first thing that arrived wasn't peace. It was the list. The thing you didn't finish. The conversation that didn't go right. That low, familiar weight already sitting on your chest before you'd even sat up. If that's where you are right now, you're not behind. You're just human. And this video is for you. Most of us don't choose how our mornings begin. The phone gets picked up. The news gets scrolled. The worry runs its first loop of the day before we've had a single sip of water. And by the time noon arrives, we've forgotten there was ever a quieter version of this morning available to us. Today we're going to slow that down. We're going to look at what Buddhist wisdom says about the hours before the day takes over, and why the words you carry into your morning might be the most important choice you make all day. This isn't about productivity. It's not about building a perfect routine or optimizing your schedule. It's about something quieter and older than that. It's about what happens in the mind before the world arrives to fill it. As the Buddhist tradition reminds us, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. That's not a poetic phrase. That's a direct observation about how human beings actually work. The thoughts you repeat become the feelings you carry. The feelings you carry shape every decision you make. And most of us don't choose our first thoughts of the day. We inherit them from wherever we left off the night before. So let's change that. Not dramatically, not all at once. One word at a time, one morning at a time. Before she even opened her eyes, the list had already started forming. The meeting she wasn't prepared for. The message she'd left unread for 2 days. The thing she said yesterday that still didn't sit right. She lay there staring at the ceiling, and for a moment, just a moment, she felt the full weight of the day pressing down on her chest. And she hadn't even gotten up yet. This is something most people experience and almost no one talks about. The mind doesn't wait for you to be ready. It starts the day without asking permission. And the thoughts that arrive in those first few minutes, before you're fully conscious, before you've had water or light or coffee, they carry a weight that ordinary thoughts don't, because you're not defended against them yet. Buddhist teachers have long observed that the morning mind is unusually impressionable. Sleep softens our usual mental armor. We are briefly more open, more porous, more willing to receive whatever arrives without filtering it. Which means what arrives in those first minutes matters enormously. If the first thing we reach for is worry, we water the seeds of worry. If the first thing we reach for is resentment or comparison or urgency, we begin the day already carrying a weight we didn't consciously choose. But if we're intentional, even for just a few minutes, even in a small way, we can plant something different. This is the first word worth keeping. Intentionality. Not as a performance, not as a morning routine you photograph and share, but as a small, quiet, deeply personal act of choosing what you allow to take root in your mind before the day has a chance to choose for you. Intentionality doesn't require more time. It doesn't require a meditation cushion or a journal or silence. It just requires a moment of noticing that you have a choice about where your mind goes first. Think about what happens in the body before the mind even fully wakes. The muscles are already tensing toward tasks. The jaw is already setting itself. The breath is already growing, shallow, in preparation for a day that hasn't started yet. The body anticipates what the mind expects, and the mind expects what the morning has been training it to expect. This is why the morning matters more than we usually admit. Not because mornings are magical, because they're formative. They're the first signal the mind uses to interpret everything that comes after. Most mornings, that first data point gets chosen by default. The phone, the scroll, the worry list reviewed before breakfast. But it doesn't have to. The Buddhist understanding of intentionality isn't about forcing positivity or pretending things are fine. It's about recognizing that the first direction you face in the morning tends to be the direction your whole day walks in. So before the day takes over, take one breath. Ask yourself, what do I want to carry today? Not, what do I have to carry? What do I want to carry? That single question is an act of intentionality, and it's enough. By 8 a.m., he'd consumed 17 pieces of information that had nothing to do with his actual life, and 3 that reminded him of things he hadn't finished, promises he hadn't kept, and problems he couldn't solve yet. He arrived at work already behind. Not behind in task completion, behind in his nervous system. There's a teaching in Buddhist philosophy about mental formations. The idea that thoughts aren't simply passing events that appear and disappear. They leave impressions, like feet walking through soft ground after rain. Each step creates a small indentation. Walk the same path enough times, and the indentation becomes a groove. And water, without thinking, flows where the grooves are. The anxious thought you think every morning doesn't stay contained in the morning. It carves a path that the rest of your day follows. It shapes how you read your emails, how you respond to people you love, how you handle the unexpected thing that always shows up around 2 p.m. As the Buddhist tradition reminds us, just as water flows along the channels it has worn, so the mind flows along the habits it has formed. This is both sobering and genuinely hopeful. Sobering because it means the habits of our morning mind are more powerful than we usually admit. Hopeful because it means those habits can be changed, not by force or willpower, but by introducing something different consistently in the space before the day begins. One morning at a time, she started noticing that most work days began with a feeling she couldn't quite name. Not anxious exactly, not sad, more like braced, like she was already leaning into impact. She traced it back and realized it always started in the first 20 minutes after waking. The news, the texts, the quick scan of email to make sure nothing had exploded overnight. The information itself wasn't catastrophic, but the act of reaching for it, that early morning reflex to find out what was wrong, had become the first impression of every day. And every day was beginning from behind. The second word worth keeping is this impression. You are leaving impressions on your own mind every single morning. The question is whether you're doing it consciously or letting circumstance, habit, and notification algorithms do it for you. When you understand that your mornings are forming you, not just scheduling you, everything about how you treat those first few minutes begins to shift. Most people think of the morning as the period before their real day starts. What Buddhist wisdom suggests is that the morning is the day. The first impression sets the tone. The first groove determines the flow, and you have more influence over that than you've probably been taught to believe. She used to think meditation was for people who had more time than she did, more patience, more stillness built into their ordinary days, more of whatever it was that let a person sit quietly for 20 minutes without their brain immediately generating a grocery list. She had a toddler, a part-time job that functioned like a full-time one, and a recurring background thought that she was somehow perpetually behind where she was supposed to be. Meditation, in her mind, was for the unbusy. Then someone told her something simple: 3 conscious breaths before your feet hit the floor. That's it. That's the whole practice. She tried it, not because she believed it would change anything, but because 3 breaths cost nothing. Not time, not money, not effort. Just 3 slow, deliberate breaths while still lying in bed. The first morning, she noticed her jaw was clenched. She genuinely hadn't known that. The second morning, she noticed her shoulders were already raised before she'd done a single thing. The third morning, something was different. The thought about being behind hadn't arrived yet. She was just there, in the room, in her body, before the day had decided what kind of day it would be. That was the moment she began to understand. The breath doesn't transport you to a different life. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't make hard things easier or busy days shorter. It gives you a moment before the automatic version of yourself takes over. And that moment, that small, unclaimed gap between waking and reacting, is where something real can happen. Buddhist practice places enormous weight on this gap, not the grand transformations, not the peak experiences or dramatic breakthroughs, the ordinary gap between stimulus and response, between the alarm and the phone, between the eyes opening and the first thought about the day, between the body waking and the mind beginning to plan. In that gap, however briefly it lasts, you have more freedom than you realize. The third word worth keeping is pause. Before the day takes over, pause long enough to remember that you're the one who gets to decide what kind of morning this becomes. Even for 30 seconds, even with your eyes still half closed, a pause isn't a retreat from life. It's the act of choosing how to enter it. There's a reason. Traditions across centuries and cultures have built morning prayers, chants, and readings into daily life. Not out of superstition, not out of obligation, out of observation. The mind needs anchors. Without something intentional to hold on to in the early morning, it attaches to whatever is nearby. And what's nearby in the modern world is usually something designed to generate urgency, comparison, or anxiety. Notifications from while you slept, headlines calibrated to produce a stress response, the ambient hum of other people's lives moving faster, looking better, achieving more. Buddhist practice uses specific phrases, sometimes called gathas, as anchors for the morning mind. Short, simple, quietly powerful statements that redirect attention before it has a chance to scatter. One of the oldest and most widely used. Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment. This isn't positive thinking in the way we usually mean it. It's not about pretending the day will be easy or that everything will go according to plan. It's more like tuning an instrument before you play. You're not declaring that life is perfect. You're orienting yourself toward the possibility that this particular day, this specific, unrepeatable collection of hours, has something real to offer, that you're capable of being present for it. He started writing one sentence in a small notebook each morning. Not a journal, not a gratitude list, not a planning document, just one sentence. Some mornings it was a quote he'd remembered. Some mornings it was something small he'd noticed the day before. Some mornings it was simply, "Today, I will try to be patient." The sentences accumulated quietly. Not into wisdom exactly, into a record of mornings when he'd been present enough to notice something worth writing down. Over time, something unexpected happened. Having to write just one sentence each morning had changed the quality of his attention throughout the whole day. He was collecting things now, looking for the sentence he might write tomorrow. This is one of the quieter gifts of anchoring. It doesn't just shape the morning, it shapes how you move through the day before it. The fourth word worth keeping is anchor. Find something, a phrase, a breath, a sentence, a few words read slowly that you return to before the noise arrives. Not because it changes everything, because it changes the starting point, and the starting point shapes everything that follows. You don't need the perfect anchor. You need a consistent one. Something small enough to actually do. Something meaningful enough to actually matter. That's all it needs to be. Start there. Come back to it tomorrow. Let repetition do what willpower never could. There is a kind of suffering that comes from treating every morning as preparation for something else. You wake up to get ready for work. You get through the week to reach the weekend. The weekend arrives and the mind is already calculating Monday. The present moment is never quite where you're living. You're always one step ahead of it, waiting for the real rest to begin, the real life to finally arrive. Buddhist teaching names this pattern directly. The mind in a constant state of becoming is a mind that can never fully arrive. It's always on its way somewhere, always preparing, always anticipating, always managing. And in that constant forward lean, the actual texture of the day goes entirely unnoticed. The specific quality of this morning's light, the warmth of the first cup of something hot, the particular stillness that exists before the house comes awake. She started leaving her phone in another room at night, not as a rule, just as a quiet experiment in what the morning felt like when it began without a screen. The first morning was disorienting. There was nothing to check, nothing to scroll, nothing to orient herself by. Just the room, the light shifting, the sounds of the house waking slowly. She described it later as feeling slightly lost, but also oddly free, because without the phone, the morning had no agenda yet. It was just morning. Not morning in service of something else. Not morning as the opening act of a series of tasks. Just morning. And she was just there in it. This is what Buddhist teachers point toward when they speak of beginner's mind. The willingness to meet each moment without immediately layering it with expectation, comparison, or conclusion. The morning before the day takes over is one of the few places this is naturally available to us. Before we've decided what kind of day it's going to be, before we've confirmed our existing story about our life. For a few minutes, it's just a morning, and you're just in it. The fifth word worth keeping is enough. This moment before anything has been asked of you, before anything has been required or demanded. This moment is enough. You don't have to earn the morning. You don't have to optimize it. You don't have to make it productive before you've had breakfast. You just have to be willing to be in it without immediately asking it to become something more. There is a kind of rest that sleep can't provide. The rest that comes from not needing anything to be different for just a few minutes. Not needing yourself to be more motivated. Not needing the circumstances to be more favorable. Not needing today to start better than yesterday ended. Just here, just this. A morning that is allowed to simply be a morning. The Buddhist word for this quality of mind is equanimity. A steadiness that doesn't depend on conditions being right. A quiet okayness that asks nothing of the moment. and it's available to you every morning before the day takes it, before the demands arrive, before the version of you that manages everything has to come online and start managing. In that small window, equanimity isn't something you achieve. It's something you give yourself permission to receive. So if you can, right now, let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. Let the breath move a little slower than it has been. You don't have to figure anything out in this moment. You don't have to decide what kind of day it's going to be. You just have to be here. That's the practice. That's always been the practice. 5 words that Buddhist practice returns to again and again as anchors for the mind that hasn't yet been caught by the day. Intentionality, the small, quiet act of choosing what you allow to take root before circumstance makes the choice for you. Impression, the understanding that every morning you're leaving marks on your own mind, and those marks become the grooves your whole day flows through. Pause the gap between waking and reacting, where something real can happen, if you're willing to stop long enough to claim it. Anchor, something to return to before the noise arrives. A phrase, a breath, a sentence in a small notebook that orients you before the day makes its demands. Enough the quiet recognition that this moment, before anything has been asked of you, already has value, already is something. These aren't solutions to the hard things in your life. They're orientations, small adjustments to the angle at which you meet each morning. And small angles held consistently over time lead to very different places than where you started. He used to rush his mornings. Coffee in the car, emails before the door was unlocked. The day already well underway before he'd had a chance to decide who he wanted to be in it. Now he gives himself 15 minutes before anyone else wakes. Not for meditation, not for journaling, not for anything in particular, just 15 minutes to arrive before the day does. He said he didn't know if it had made him more productive. He said he didn't really care about that anymore. What he knew was that something had shifted in his body. That braced feeling, the reflexive morning tension, had softened into something more like readiness. Not the readiness of someone bracing for impact. The readiness of someone who has arrived before the day and is choosing consciously how to step into it. He said it had made him more himself, more like the person he actually wanted to be, and less like a version of himself just reacting to everything without quite knowing when it had all started. The Buddhist tradition calls this cultivation of the mind, not fixing the mind, not emptying it, not arriving at any particular state, just tending to it the way you'd tend to something you wanted to grow, with patience, with consistency, with gentle, patient attention. Because what grows in the morning is what you carry into the rest of the day. And what you carry into the rest of the day is quietly shaping the life you're building, whether you're aware of it or not. If something in this video met you where you actually are, if one of these words landed somewhere true, I'd love to know which one. Leave it in the comments. Even just the word itself, intentionality, impression, pause, anchor. Enough. That kind of reflection matters, not just for you, but for the people who gather here working through the same things in different forms. If this is the kind of wisdom you want to keep returning to, the quiet, practical kind that doesn't ask you to be different, but invites you to be more intentional about who you already are, subscribe. There's more here, and we're glad you found it. The day is going to take over soon. It always does, but before it does, take one breath, a real one, slow enough to feel it. Notice what's here right now. The sound around you, the weight of your body wherever you're sitting. The fact that for these few minutes, you chose to slow down instead of speed up. That choice matters. It always has. You were here. You slowed down. You listened to something that asked you to be present. And that, quietly, is the whole practice. Take care of yourself. We'll see you in the next one.